guys, it's still your out and about lady here in New Zealand, Juliet Chinelo. You're welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, what we discuss basically is issue around living, working and studying here in New Zealand. So today I would be discussing a very spectacular topic. I think it is spectacular because it is something that happened personally to me, or a process with which I came to New Zealand through, because most of my other topics has been from random research based on what you guys want to know about New Zealand, but this one is going to be more personal because it's something I have walked through. So, and that topic is how to bring your spouse or partner over to New Zealand within the shortest possible time. And the people that will benefit mostly from this video are students looking forward to bringing their spouse partner over, and also any visa holders, citizen, residents that have got partner or spouse overseas that is trying to bring the person over. This video will be handy as well because it's probably the same process. So before I get started, guys, I would start by listing the documents you need to get ready before you get started with this process. Then when we get to the seventh one, which is where the bulk of the packaging and the work is needed for you to mesmerize the New Zealand case officer, immigration officer that your case will be assigned to, because it's all about putting overwhelming information together to convince them that you're in a genuine, stable relationship. So guys, before I start listing the documents you would require, have you subscribed to my channel? If you have not, please do that right away. And also, I look forward to your beautiful comment. Some thumb up will go a long way to motivate me as well. So I would start listing the documents you need to get this process started right away. The first document will be your application forms. For you to apply for partner-based New Zealand work visa, you need to have two forms filled out and signed. And one of the form is form 1198. 1198 is the one the person that is coming over would fill to show that he or she is in a stable relationship with the person sponsoring him or her to come over. And the one this sponsor will fill is form 1148. Form 1146 rather. And these forms you can always download them from New Zealand immigration website, or if your spouse is a student here, you can go to the immigration office in the school and have it printed off for you. So this is the first document you require. So the second one would be a travel document or your passport, which is pretty standard. And the third one would be the appropriate levy would be paid, and this varies. There's often changes to it as time goes, so it's something you have to find out how much it is whenever you want to apply at New Zealand immigration website as well. And the fourth document you'll be getting ready is two colored passport photograph, and that should be current as well. And the fifth document you should get ready is police certificate, and it should be within 6 months if it is applicable to you. And the sixth document you would be requiring is medicals and X-ray if it is applicable to you as well. And I have to mention here that in countries there are often accredited or approved hospitals that New Zealand accepts this medical certificates and X-ray result from. So you have to check and find out the accredited hospitals for this in your area. You don't just use any random hospital. So, and the seventh one where the bulk of the packaging comes in is evident that you are you are currently living in a genuine relationship with the person sponsoring you. And emphasis is usually that you guys must have lived together, done things together as partners, lovers, husband and wife within a year. So this is a bit tricky because some of you must have had your spouse over here in New Zealand for like a year or 6 months before you start this process. The tip I always give people is, once your spouse come over here to study or anything, start off. That will increase your chances by not creating that huge gap that you guys has been separated from each other for a long while. But still stay tuned to see how you would fill in the gap if your spouse has been here for a long time studying, because I would mention it when we go down proper on how to get this number 7 paperwork packaged. So I chose to call it a relationship timeline. I think that's what they call it too. I would also deviate a little bit. When my husband came over here to study, we wanted to use a lawyer, but he was very busy with school, settling down, looking for apartment, looking for jobs. So he keeps missing his lawyer appointment. So when he finally didn't miss it, when the lawyer stipulated the things, the documents, and we need to bring forward for him to get this arranged for us, and the amount and everything, I said to myself, if I get all these things done, then that is the job. And when I converted the amount to the money where I was staying, it was a big sum for me. And on the second thought, I was like, no one will tell my love story better than myself. So I decided to give it a shot. I am not against you using a lawyer. If you can afford lawyer and you want to use lawyer, go ahead and use the lawyer. But just know that the bulk of the information, the sources of you getting your work visa, 70%, 80% probably depend on the information you provide to the lawyer. So let's get started. How did I get my relationship timeline organized? How I did it was I focused on mesmerizing the case officer that my file will be assigned to. I try to put up a captivating love story that will be convincing with overwhelming information that I and my partner, we are into each other, that the immigration officer will have no choice but endorsing my visa. So I started by putting up a wee story with evidence, pictures, any document that we have together in the house. I put it out here. I put it out there the much I am comfortable with. So the first how I started my story on how we met on our first date, with pictures and phone conversations and text messages printed off. So I started my relationship timeline story from there. So after that, I moved over to the date that we agreed that we are going to be in a relationship. And the day we got our parents' blessing, the day he visited my house, and the day I visited his too, with pictures on how I was welcomed into his family, and the pictures on how he was welcomed into my family as well. And also I put out pictures of my dowry paying, the whole list. If you are from eastern part of Nigeria, we know how the marriage rights are over there. The whole list, the first day one, the after 4 weeks one, the 3 serial list of where I am from. So I put out the list there, the traditional rituals that needs to be done, the whole pictures, videos, the much I could get, I put it out to them. Community supported this marriage and we are into each other. So after putting that out there, the third story I told in my relationship timeline was how we live together, how we spend our time together. I put out so many awkward pictures. Yeah, pictures of us in our house after we got married, cooking, cleaning up, doing fun things together in the house. And when you look at it, you will know these pictures are not like staged, they are natural. We are just in casual housewear, 90s, stuff like that. So this will go a long way to convince them in a natural way. So that was the third story I put out in my relationship timeline. And the fourth evidence I put out there was document evidence of living together. Time will like, to the extent I think some house equipment that we bought together, where we are living, the bills, the electric bills, the water bills, the invoice, the receipt don't just come in one person's name. We make sure that we write our both names together. Yeah, so and that went a long way to convince them as well, to the extent that my kitchen cutleries, cups, spoon, the shop where I bought them from, I reluctantly, when they asked me what are we going to write in the receipt, I was like, right, Mr. This and Mrs. Juliet. So they're just, and these are the things that we bought years back, and I just keep things, and I could lay my hands on this receipt, so I put it out to them, which we are really convincing. The generator we bought together, the car, the assets, everything that we had together with our both names on, I put it out there. So the fifth thing I did on my relationship timeline to convince them was joint medical insurance. Then I was working for a company that had a medical insurance policy, and they had the option of having my spouse included in the insurance. So they pay the bills, or somehow they deduct it from my salary. So I had my husband signed up for it. So that one was a blowing, overwhelming evidence. My husband being in the same medical insurance with me, and the bills, or the having it somehow subsidized by the company that I worked for, is something I cannot do for a random person apart from my husband. So that was the another thing that I put up in my relationship timeline that was quite convincing. So the sixth evidence was our financial management. I put out the our joint account, the whole investment we did together, the landed property we had together, the assets, the fixed term deposit, everything financial that we did together. I put out the evidence out there with our both names on it. Some of them are like years ago, and they were just quite naturally convincing. So financials is one of the things that they pay attention to. So put overwhelming information that two of you manages your finances together, and that will go a long way to convince them. So the seventh evident I put out in my relationship timeline was contact, how we make contact and how we communicate when we are apart, when we are not living together with each other. Oh my gosh, I did not take any chance there, and this is a place you don't have to take any chance. If your husband has stayed in New Zealand more than 3-6 months before inviting you over, I went too far. I printed our whole WhatsApp chat, WhatsApp calls, the much information you are comfortable with putting out there, the things we say on the phone and everything. I got it printed off from WhatsApp, how we communicated every single hour of the day. So I put it out there. And you know, you cannot be talking that so much with someone you are not in a genuine relationship with. So that was quite convincing as well. So the evidence that I put in my relationship timeline was photographs taken at friends' weddings, weddings that we attended together, wedding invitations that has got both our names on as Mr. and Mrs., because that means that people acknowledged us as couple back home and they invited us to occasions as couples. So that went a long way to convince them, and I tell you that within 6 weeks decision was reached, and I was given work visa to come over to New Zealand to support my husband who was studying then, of which I wasn't even ready. But I started getting ready to resign from my job and tidy up and join him. So guys, that is how to package your visa to join your husband or your wife or your spouse, your partner, your lover in New Zealand within the shortest possible time. Please let me know in the comment section if this video was helpful. Bye.